Got quite a few people already in the chat. Albert's in there, Mr. Albert Jimenez, Charles Davis, David Stewart, Gustavo, John Young, Robert Daniels. I don't know who else may be in here, but I see you guys are already in there chatting. Trying to get Mr. Ron Pollard in here. So if you guys will hang on just a second, let me grab this link. I'll send it to him again real quick. And we will get with it. All right. All right. That looks better. I think this is going to work. All right. All right. So we'll see if we can get Mr. Ronald Pollard in here. I want to wait to get him in here wait just a few minutes. But yeah, since Wednesday, I've been checking out some things on YouTube, watching some videos, in particular videos on the Canon debacle. Hello, Millerad. Hello, Paul Connors. How you guys doing tonight? Gustavo. I think we got something here. Let's see. We don't have video yet, but we definitely have him up. Let's see. There he is. There's Mr. Pollard.
He does exist, like the M&M guy.
John Ishii. John, you have a link if you want to join, buddy.
Audio.
It sounds pretty good. Speak again.
How is audio?
It's fine. It seems like it's fine tonight.
It seems okay today.
Yep, yeah, you're good to go, brother. You're good to go. Neth BT in here from Nova Scotia. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I hardwired it from the router.
There you go. All right. So it was losing, or it was oh shoot, a data issue. Okay. All right. Paul's talking about the ball hitting him has improved his golf game. That's good. Albert says your audio sounds good. All right. And David Stewart. Oh, never mind. He's talking to. It's Gustavo talking to him. J Rod Photo. James, how you doing, buddy? Hope you're well. All right. So, like I said in the beginning, since Wednesday, I've kind of checked YouTube been back and forth, checking out some videos. A lot to be said about Canon's debacle right now. It seems that the Canon tribe is in an uproar, but I have learned something that I did not know. And let me share that with you all. So Canon has this big debacle going on right now with their third-party lenses. They're not going to allow other or third-party to develop lenses for the RF mount. And they're going to great lengths to make sure that doesn't happen. I've seen a few comments people talk about with that last firmware update that they've seen that it's blocked their Viltrox lenses or whatever. So that would have been done a while ago, but I haven't seen a lot of confirmation about that. So if anybody shoots Canon and can confirm that, that would be interesting. But what I learned, that's not what I learned. What I learned was that there are only two camera manufacturers. Two. That's it. Just two of them. So as I read all the comments on all these different videos because I was just curious to see what everybody was saying. And I found that because people want to leave Canon, whether they do or not, who knows, but many of them seem adamant on leaving Canon over this third-party issue. And the only choice they have is Sony. So I guess Nikon, Fuji, Panasonic, OM, none of those exist. So have you all seen anything in the news that all other camera manufacturers have quit? Get Mr. John Ishii in here. Hello, John.
Hey, morning.
I don't know if you could hear just talking about the Canon debacle with the third-party lenses. And I was saying that I learned something. Looking at all the comments in these videos that are out from Canon shooters, everybody that is complaining and saying they will leave Canon because of the RF mount and third party glass not going to be available. All of them are going to Sony because I guess that's the only remaining camera manufacturer other than Canon.
Mm-hmm.
Not one person that I read, unless they were already a Nikon shooter, Fuji shooter, or something, has talked about, well, I guess I'm going to leave Canon, and I guess I'll have to go to Sony.
Well, it just seems like a pretty drastic measure, to dump your camera gear just because it doesn't use third-party glass.
Regardless, and that's not what I'm talking about. I don't know whether they will or won't. They may or may not. Who knows? But the point is that they only talked about the going to Sony. You can't go to anybody else. You have to go to Sony.
So what is your point? What is your point with that, Chuck? So what are you?
Well, I mean, is it that bad that Nikon, Fuji, and everybody else, OM and whoever else out there, Panasonic, is that bad that they're not even a consideration as another brand to go to? It's just amazing to me.
Yeah,
you guys don't find that interesting?
All the leanings were that way. I mean, it was once in a while they might say Nikon, but most of the time they just said, "Oh, we'll have to just switch to Sony." That was kind of like the revolving theme.
Yeah, it's
I would like to see that source, Chuck, so that I can evaluate it for myself first of all, and then I'd like to analyze.
I invite all of you to go watch a bunch of these videos from Canon folks that are putting them out and look at the comments. I invite all of you to go do that. Mm-hmm. I just found it interesting that Nikon or Panasonic or Fuji or OM never came up as an alternate to Canon because they're going to leave Canon. Now, again, I don't know whether they will or not. I'm not here to fight that battle. I don't care. That's up to Canon and Canon's consumers. But just the point of everybody saying never did any of the other brands come up as a possible substitute. I thought it was interesting.
It's a conspiracy.
Well,
you know what's funny, but it's a communist conspiracy.
Is that old word,
right, Ron?
Perception is 9/10 of the law, and I think the perception, like Canon is saying, well, we got a patent on our mount. You violated our patent. You reversed engineered it. You weren't licensed with us, and that may be completely true.
Guys, I don't care.
Is 9/10 of the law, and the perception is the Canon users feel slighted that you're taking away capabilities from them, and they're PO'd about it.
Not my point. Not my fight. Not my fight. Not my point. Don't care. The whole point is that Nikon again here's the dog we kick around. Not one time did anybody say, well, I may consider Nikon. Not once, or Fuji, or Panasonic. I mean, how strong is that signal?
But let me
ask you, how strong is that signal?
But let's face it, Chuck. Your concern isn't Fuji or Leica or Panasonic. Your concern is Nikon.
Well, yeah, but I'm trying to be open here a little bit, and allow the others their due.
Okay. So then, to me, Chuck, it highlights that, and Jeff, no disrespect to you, Jeff, it highlights, Chuck, that the marketing negative avalanche that was out there for 2 years, it's going to take time to undo that. That's the reality of it. It took time to get there. It's going to take time to undo that, because that's not going to happen overnight, because they don't care. And then like Mosman said, the real Canon shooters don't care about that. They really don't. The bunch of pros I saw, John, Jeff, and Chuck, at the PGA Tour Championship could care less about some of that.
No, they don't care.
I disagree, gentlemen. I disagree. And I didn't even bring this up to battle for Canon or for the third party glass people. I disagree though. I think that people are like that nowadays. I think that there are people that will leave. They did Nikon. They certainly left Nikon back in the beginning of the mirrorless wars.
But did
I mean,
anybody face?
Tell me that didn't happen.
So did anybody? Yes, Chuck, it did. Did anybody face the negative Godzilla avalanche of negative press that Nikon faced that in 2.5, 3 years ago? Did Fuji, did Panasonic, did Leica, did Sony, any of them take or endure the type of body attacks, Mike Tyson punches, that prime Mike Tyson punches that Nikon took? So I think you have to take that into consideration too.
I'm not following you, Ron.
The point I'm making is that the negativity when people left Nikon was because the argument, Chuck,
Yeah.
was okay, because the argument was over, John and Jeff, tell me if I'm wrong. The argument was centered over one item in photography that became bigger than anything else, not ergonomics, not dynamic range, autofocus was the only thing that pushed these people toward
All right.
some of those other brands.
All right. So
that's what I'm saying. That's
I understand what you're saying, but it's not apples and oranges. It's all apples, because the bottom line is people said they would do it and people did it. It doesn't matter what the reason was. Okay. But people did it. Now, how many people are going to, and I'm not here again to determine how many people are actually going to do it. I really don't care, guys. The whole point is that you read those comments and tell me you don't get a little like, wait a minute. So that's the only honorable mention is I got to go to Sony. That's the point. Whether they go or not, who cares? Again, we're back to.
I'm just saying to your point, Chuck.
Yeah,
that's part of the marketing, Nikon, part of the marketing stuff that, and the real stuff that they've got to come to grips with and wrestle with.
So I bring it up for what reason then? I bring it up because do we do enough marketing on our own for Nikon?
Well,
Maz, man, I agree with you, Maz. I mean, I somewhat agree with you. And again, I'm not here to debate numbers, percentages, or anything else. That's not the point. The point is that that's all they talk about. There are only two brands for the majority of the photographers in the YouTube world, and that is Canon and Sony. That's it.
Well, I think Ron's point he's trying to make is that Nikon got beat to death so bad that people still have it instilled in their mind that Nikon is not the brand you want to go to. So they're not even discussing them still. So the effects of the beating have yet to go away. There's
no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And a whole generation has come up in a few years, believe it or not. Those that were entering the camera market at the beginning of the mirrorless camera, not Sony, but Canon and Nikon. I mean, Nikon has been beat to death.
Okay. I think one of the major reasons sits, especially in my area over here in Malaysia, is that Sony has an event every single weekend, camping, models, car shows, you name it, they throw huge money on it every weekend. And that includes food, entertainment, the whole ball of wax. I mean, they are relentless with marketing. Number one. Number two, the competition, especially Nikon, Nikon Malaysia even pulled out and now are just relying on the master distributor who's got no money for any kind of campaign like this. But when it comes to money, I mean, I went to a Sony event and they were giving out free 18-year-old Japanese whiskey, as much as you can drink. Now, they got to go.
That's good money, right? That's good money, Jack.
Canon marketing, they used to have huge press conferences, which included a big, huge lunch. So everyone would go. but those days are gone. They have a new managing director here, and they cut all that out. So Sony comes along, and they just pour huge money.
Well, it's a good return on their dollar, isn't it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, they're doing it right. And then when you register for a Sony event, hey, they're fully booked and within 10 minutes.
And there's another reason too, John, over here, that if we're going to talk about this, Chuck, we're going to uncover there are going to be some unpopular things that we talk about, Chuck.
And like I haven't done that in the past.
And one of those things that Sony does is they pay off so many people, retailers, and so many other salespeople to get the numbers they've gotten to. That needs to be accounted for.
Okay.
Nobody wants to talk about that, but that's real.
Okay.
That's really what's going on. That's, John, that's another level of
so John brought up the key word, marketing. You know, how long have I been screaming about Nikon's marketing, lack thereof?
They don't have any money. There's no budget.
But what do I mean by pay off people? I mean they are incentivizing certain sales. I got a call from a retailer the other night, and he said something to me that was so, and he said, Ron, Sony has paid off so many people and are paying. There's so many people in their pockets. It's unbelievable. So a lot of your popular YouTubers who push people towards Sony are part of that demographic that is being paid off and being incentivized to push things that way.
You ever go to a Sony event, Ron? You ever go to a Sony event?
I have seen.
I mean,
I'm talking about beyond that, John. Yes, I've been to that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, well, then the user, influencers, etc., blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. But just the Sony event is like a Hollywood event. I mean, it's a big deal.
It is that and that's separate from. I agree with you on that, and I'm saying to you, the under the table stuff, the other stuff,
well, yeah, of
that's
course,
going on is what Chuck is not addressing right now. He's addressing the results, but he's not addressing the methodology.
Well, take a look at our friends over there, and Tony, etc., and Jared. I mean, all they do is spew Sony. You can't tell me that they ain't making any, shrill out of this.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, Long Rider did send me an email, and he talked about he knows somebody over at B&H that may know some of the numbers or have an idea. He said that what did you say? Sony had a 10% rise in sales, and this is just recently. Basically, we can't attribute it to the Canon third-party thing, but it happened about the same time. And Nikon received about a 20% rise in sales. Now, again, we can't attribute it to the Canon thing, but I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm sure a lot of Canon folks are looking at that as that's exactly what it is, but it could be just sales and things like that are going on for Sony and Nikon, because there are some pretty good sales right now for Sony and Nikon. So I don't know, but I just bring it up because, I mean, look, guys, you can't tell me if you watch 5 videos and in every video, it's the same thing over and over and over the 5 videos, there are probably 250 comments total. And not one of them, every one of them is the same thing. Well, I'm going to Sony, or I'm going to check out Sony. Sony has so many lenses and blah, blah, blah. And yada, yada, yada. I'm going to let Canon fight the battle over whether people leave or not. That's not my battle to fight. And nothing against Canon at all. They'll make their own decisions and they'll live and die by them just like everybody else. It's just the fact that here we go again with evidence that Nikon has been the whipping boy, only because they were closer to Canon and Sony. They were the whipping boy as soon as they came out the gate with their first mirrorless camera, and it's beginning to show its ugly head. Not again, but show how much impact those influencers had on where Nikon sits in the queue. It's just amazing to me, and I don't know how to change it, because you'll find so many more YouTubers talking Canon and so many more YouTubers talking Sony than you will Nikon. And you don't come in to argue with me if you haven't lived on YouTube and looked for all these different things. I watch it continually and watch what's coming across YouTube. It's not like I just did a sample one couple hours on YouTube. So I don't know how we fix it. I don't know what we do, fellas.
Well, I think Nikon. Well, I got two comments. One is Sony has a big influence on the retail market as well, because I'll tell you, going in Best Buy, someone working in the camera department of Best Buy will always point the customer towards Sony 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10 times. Now, part of that is Nikon's own fault, because we talk about it all the time. You know, they have to balance their camera line where they have the autofocus features that everybody got drilled in their head so bad, but they got to get the stuff from the Z9 and the lower end bodies, and they got to do it quick, because otherwise customer goes into a retail store and a person says, you could pick any 5 of these cameras on the Sony side and the autofocus is going to be great on all of them. And well, if you can afford the Z9, you'll have great autofocus on that, but you're not going to get it on the rest of the product line. So it's partially Nikon's own fault and Nikon's failure to emphasize the positives of some of those lower end models that have a lot of great positives to them, like color science and a million other things. And it's just blowing up in their face. It's just blowing up in their face big time.
But Jeff, part of that, and Chuck and I see it. I see what Chuck is saying. He sees what I'm saying. I just took my argument this way. That's what happens when you allow people to get you to talk about one item out of 50,000 other items.
Yeah.
Should be considered. They drove 1 point.
Yes.
Yeah.
They rode that 1 point, John, like an Appaloosa. They rode that 1 point and tried to make photography, the whole world, the whole art, everybody about that one thing. And they themselves, and then you have the lies that have been told and the misinformation that has been told. You didn't tell people. Nobody talks about the overheating. Chuck talks about Nikon being the whipping boy. Yeah, Nikon did some of that damage by shooting themselves, by not highlighting some of the amazing features that we have in the cameras, not just the Z9, but the other cameras too. But they got off on that 1 foot in mirrorless and wiped all of that away, while Sony took 5 years to get there, but nobody cares. Nobody talks about that.
Yeah.
That stuff was crap.
Because that's gone. That, you know, it's just like talking about Nikon being such a prolific lens manufacturing. Nobody cares. Prolific. Okay, they're old, they're gone. We're not using them. What about today? You know, let's face it. Nobody lives in the past. Nobody's looking at history and buying based on history. I mean, are they?
It's like Sony found a scab. Okay. Nikon had a scab. Sony picks it off. It scabs over. Sony picks it off.
They were the bully. They were the bully, Jeff.
And it's one thing. It's one thing.
Even Canon, and you think about it, Canon didn't do that. Canon didn't attack Nikon the way Sony did.
No, Canon didn't. And, you know, the manufacturers don't attack each other. The way they attack each other is just by promoting what they have good in their cameras.
What I mean is the Canon advertising.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. But that's been a rabid fan base over in the Sony camp. Not all, but that's been a pretty rabid fan base. Yes.
Toxic.
And they were out to fight to, you know, become number one, whether the cameras are or not, doesn't matter to them. It's more about the rating for them.
You know, one of my good colleagues, he shoots for Associated Press, and for years they used Canon. I mean, for donkey it was this Canon. APUs. Then they switched to Sony because of the A1, and they could get a good deal with both broadcasting, TV, and stills. So now he's become a Sony ambassador, and he just eats, lives, and sleeps this Sony stuff. And I get to the point where I can't hang with it anymore. You know, enough, enough, bro. I mean, enough. I get it.
Well,
But then again, you know, he says, well, you know, they pay me $1,500 every time we do a function. Okay, I get it now. Right? We're making some coin on the side. Right?
Show me money,
Yeah.
baby. Show me the money.
And then, you know, he does, you know, and let's be honest here, he did the Tokyo Olympics, and then he did the Beijing Olympics, and yeah, the pictures are pretty amazing.
Well, John, everything in all respect.
They all do that, you know. All
Yeah,
the brands.
I was gonna say, all respect and deference to you, John. I think that there's some things Nikon truly needs to do beyond adding the features of the Z9 to the lower bodies. I really have said this before, privately and publicly. Nikon needs to embrace another category of shooter, not just ambassadors, because Chuck, as you know, that's not enough.
No.
They need to really create another, even if they got to do it geographically. They've got to embrace, with these next bodies, they got to come out with a whole marketing blitz that's going to be different.
John and you both already addressed that, you know, talking about what Sony does. They've got ambassadors that aren't ambassadors, Sony artisans or whatever they call them, because they have done so much to promote and help others to get into the brand. And they get ambassadors out of that. These people start YouTube channels. They're constantly out there promoting the brand.
Here's the thing, Chuck. You look at those Sony ambassadors, and most of these ambassadors, and I tell you what, they can't take a picture of a barn door, right?
You're right.
But say it, John.
John,
speak to it.
The picture is secondary. The number one thing is to influence and push it. I mean, you look at all those influencers. You think they take knockout golf pictures? I'm so sure they couldn't take a golf picture if their life depended on it, right, Ron?
I agree.
Tell me, we both shot PGA. We both shot the tour, man.
Yes.
And you better be right on. You better be right on the mark. And there's a strategy, and there's a skill to do it.
John.
And then you look at them, so-called ambassadors. They can't shoot with the
John, that's what I was saying. I'm talking about not the actual ambassadors, on the honor roll, the payroll, the whatever, but because they have supported so many people with their brand, Sony, they've got ambassadors out there, these YouTubers that are promoting their brand constantly for them. They're not Sony artisans.
No, then it works. It works.
Yes, it works extremely well.
It works extremely. You look at the Nikon ambassadors, you know, who's a Nikon ambassador? Our friends over there, Joe McNally and stuff. Hey, God bless their souls, right?
Yes.
I love those guys. But let's be honest here. They ain't Gen Z.
And
right?
then there's that,
man. Taking
Am I right or am I wrong, man? They ain't Gen Z.
And then there's that.
So we're just saying the same thing 5 different ways. You know, I've been preaching the Nikon ambassador thing for a while, to the point of Nikon USA probably hates me, because on one of their presentations, I said, why don't you get somebody in there that didn't take photos with film for a change? That's how old the ambassador pool is. And like you said, God bless them, man. They got some fantastic photographers, but they do not relate to the up and coming.
I can relate to Joe.
You and me and Ron and Jeff.
Ron, but if you're 22 years old, who never heard of the guy?
That's
What's
right.
the speed like?
That's right.
Yeah.
What's the speed like?
But John, I want to, Chuck, may I address something John said?
Sure.
Okay. So, John, I didn't get a chance to, because my Wi-Fi was messing up last week, and Chuck and them had wanted me to come on and show some of the photos from the PGA. But one of the things I said was Canon's shooters were number one.
Yeah.
Number two was Nikon. And a distant third was Sony shooters out there. Of about 35 or 40 photographers, Most were between Canon and Nikon, with Canon getting the most share. But the main photographer who shoots, Chris Condon, is a Z9 maestro. He is wearing it out.
Yeah, who's he shoot for, Ron? Who's he shoot for?
The tour championship.
I mean, is he a wire guy?
He's with the PGA. He shoots.
Okay, he's with PGA. Now,
Yeah,
did you take a look? You take a look at the wire guys. What are they shooting?
Some of them, what I saw was Canon and some Nikon.
Okay, but you go look at AP. They're probably shooting all Sony.
I didn't see them. They were probably there, but I didn't see them.
I'm sure they're there. And then you look at AFP and Reuters. AFP will use Nikon because I know they got all Z9 gear. Reuters used to be all Canon. I don't know what they shoot now. So the wire guys.
Yes. So this guy has as most of his photographers on the Z system. He bought several Z9s for them to shoot for the PGA.
Okay, if he's shooting for the PGA itself, or is he freelance? Oh, okay, no, he's hired by PGA.
Go to his website. He is the PGA. He is the main PGA guy.
All right, all right.
Yeah, go check him out.
Okay, what's his name?
Bad dude, man. And
well, there you go. There you go. That's the key right there. What's his name? There it is.
You don't know the names. What's his name? You don't know the names of the Sony artisans either. You don't know the names.
I'm not talking about artisans. I'm talking about prolific people that are promoting a brand by out there shooting and delivering with it. You know, look at all the YouTubers. You know, if you don't think YouTube sells cameras, you're crazy. You're absolutely out of your mind. YouTube is selling cameras more than the manufacturers themselves. But you can name Manny Ortiz. You can name names all day long. Canon, Sony, constantly. How many Nikon influencers, or not even influencers, but somebody that's known at least on YouTube? How many are there on YouTube?
Besides Jerry Guiones?
Yeah.
Vaughan?
No, we don't count, buddy. We're not anywhere close to being influencers.
Jeff, Ron, there you go.
You know,
right?
No. But I think
low end.
That's the point. That's the point, John. That is the exact point I'm making right there.
Steve
Perry is not a YouTuber. He is a YouTuber, but he isn't. No. I mean, how often is he shooting? And by the way, he played with Canon and Sony as he spoke. So, old man Moose. Yeah, Moose is a big influencer. Moose Peterson. There you go.
But you know what? But what Chuck is saying, see, I have no problems with what Chuck is. I think what Chuck is saying is actually very insightful. I really do, because you know they took a generation of Z's who nothing existed before they were born or since they've been doing it. And Sony rode with that. That's been the mindset of a lot of that generation Z. Nothing existed before we did it. And so if you shoot anything else, you're old, out of touch, and out of date. But Sony got with them ahead of time and created a beautiful sandwich.
So hang on a minute. I got to clarify. I agree, because there's a lot of commentary going on over here in the chat. So Gustavo, we're not talking about professionals. I mean, I mean, in the older sense, we're talking about a new generation of younger guys that have become prolific in camera. And when we call them professionals, are they actually making a living at photography? Some maybe making some living, but believe it or not, the guys that are selling cameras are the guys that are making a living on YouTube and supplementing it with their professional shooting. Those are the guys that are selling cameras.
Most of these Sony young people who are shooting are engineers or have other gigs, and they shoot on the side with Sony. That's what's happening with a lot of them. This is not their full-time gig.
Now, my point again, guys, is, you know, and this is not just I'm gonna let Nikon have a break for a few minutes. Although John brought up marketing, and it's hard to not touch that.
That's
Where's the rant meter?
But I'm gonna let that lie a minute. Here's the thing, you know, if we have Nikon shooters out there in the younger age groups, in the 20, 30, even up to 40, you know, around 40. If they're out there, we need to be promoting them. That's our job, because that's what the Sony fans are doing. That's what the Canon fans are doing. I mean, anybody disagree with that? No, hang on, Jeff. Hang on a minute. Anybody disagree with that? The fans themselves are promoting these people, and they become influencers. All right. There is no real title influencer. That's just something created because people have such a big audience. They become, we call them an influencer, but 60,000 subscribers are influencers today. And they're so prolific on YouTube that message is out constantly. And the fact that they won't even consider anything but whatever brand they're speaking about, it says a lot. Instead of just saying all cameras are great, folks, go buy what you want. No, you don't hear that on those channels. Here's the brand, here's the camera, it's the best, and you got to buy this camera. They don't say it quite that way. They say it in a very influencing way. So, what's the deal? When are we going to do that? I've got, I don't know how many
a lot has to do with Chuck. A lot has to do with age. When they speak to me like that, well, I ain't drinking the Kool-Aid. I ain't drinking the Kool-Aid. But then younger people, hey, like they say, youth is wasted.
John, anybody tell you that we are now the minority in age group? Baby boomers are no longer the majority.
There's no way. They don't want to.
That's right. It is. You're absolutely right.
Listen to me. They don't want to listen to this old uncle.
There you go. So that's the whole point is we can't do it.
I know.
We can't do it. We cannot relate to them. I've been preaching this message for a long time, and it just more and more comes out, and more we find out that, Nikon is an old man's group.
Chuck, can we
there you go, Chuck.
Well, Nikon did supposedly. I mean, I watched some YouTube videos, and Nikon supposedly with your favorite camera, Chuck, the Z30, they put that in the hands of a bunch of people and let them try it out, and a lot of them were YouTube influencers in the younger generation, and they loved it, and they were promoting it on their channels. But the thing is, you can't do that once every 6 months. You got to get camera. You got to get the Nikon product line. You got to have a bus pull up. You got to go to events. You got to put it in people's hands.
Jeffrey,
you got to get people excited about the brand. And if you don't do that,
Jeffrey, what did I say when the Z30 came out? And everybody said, well, it looks like they're doing a good job, here promoting it. Where's it at today? That's typical Nikon. They did it with the ZFC.
You got to keep it going. You don't just do it once. You don't
never heard any more about it.
You don't do it for a week and then stop.
Now, let me ask you a question, guys. Are we speaking pejoratively for everybody around the rest of the world? Because Vic Romaine said that seems to be a U.S. issue. I really want him to explain that more. And then I saw someone else in the chat say Nikon Europe has begun to become more aggressive with what they're doing with promoting their stuff.
They have a lot, Ron. You take a look. They're doing that behind the scenes. Something Dare video production from some dude from England, and then you got Nikon Europe with that guy Richie fella with the bird photography. I mean, they're really doing it well. The rest of the planet, I don't see anything.
Yeah, see, and I don't know. I used to see a lot of Nikon Canada and a lot of Nikon South Africa. I haven't seen anything from them yet.
And Nikon Asia, they haven't done anything really.
Yeah.
So, again, I do hope that Nikon does pay attention to at least channels like us that want to talk about it. And, we're not going to drive a multi-billion-dollar corporation. That's not going to happen. But maybe they'll listen to, we're the old folks. We're in there talking about it. No young guys are doing this. You don't find a channel where it's a bunch of younger Nikon shooters talking about this stuff.
Now I did. Now
I'd
Chuck,
promote them to my. I'd promote them, you know, constantly if I could find somebody doing it.
I will be fair and say this. I did discover several young adults who are like 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 shooting Nikon in Nashville. Quite a few who are shooting 750s, 850s, Z62s, Z72s, Z5s. I did find quite a few in Nashville who are doing that.
Yeah.
So I can't speak for the rest of the country. I don't know.
And that's good. That's good.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, you would hope that maybe the generation that is coming up would spend a little more time commenting, you know, and supporting Nikon supported channels or whatever. Not Nikon, but I don't mean Nikon supporting the channels. They don't, obviously.
Mhm.
But the channel itself supporting Nikon. And again, I don't want to take away from everybody that's in here that shoots Sony and Canon. Look, I'll be the first to admit they're great cameras. I'm just talking about the marketing aspect of it. Nikon has its own place, you know, in that
But Chuck,
that
the
top tier.
marketing part, Chuck, part of my problem with that, and I'm gonna say this to people in the chat who may not like me after this and may want to cancel me. Part of the marketing was marketing on lies too, though, Chuck. They were lying about the Nikon autofocus system many times over.
But
They lied in different ways. They lied from the north, the south, the east, and the west. They misinformed people.
yes,
They misled people. They left stuff out. They didn't give it a fair shake on their own stuff. No, I'm not just talking about Nikon USA. I'm talking about influencers who told a half truth and a whole lie, Chuck. That's part of that's not me and your, that's not our responsibility. That's Nikon's responsibility to tell the whole truth. But let's face it, they support a lot of the stuff because I can tell you, Sony has a lot of the same issues. The R3 has a lot of the same issues, but they don't highlight that. In addition to burning up in your hands, and in addition to, you know, you can fry egg on them after 2 minutes. You know.
yeah.
Well,
Well-
a good point that's coming up in the chat is, let's assume Nikon all of a sudden woke up and had the best marketing department in the world. What's called out here in the chat, which is true. If you had the greatest marketing company in the world and you don't have product to give people, then it doesn't do you any good. So that's the other part of their problem.
Well, yeah, you know, Jeff, you can have the best mousetrap in the world, and then if you can't market, it's useless.
Yeah.
And Ron, let's be honest here. You know, Nikon is sometimes not very truthful either, because I had a huge issue with them at a conference one time when that D850 first launched.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only one in the country with a D850. I bought it with my own money. I go to there and I said, sir, they were talking about how great this camera is, right? And there was a section there about 8K time lapse, how it can do 8K time lapse.
On the
And I
850.
said, yeah, the 850. And I said, yeah, you know, I said, Albert, I bought this because it's supposed to do 8K time lapse. Now you tell me, you show me on this camera where it says that I can do that. And there's 1,200 people there. I said, where? You show me on this camera where it says it can do 8K time lapse. I said, I got it. It's in my hand. It's mine, my money. So the guy was so embarrassed. And then he says, oh, you look on the brochure, right? And it says that you need to buy a third-party software program to do it. Okay. I took a look at that on stage while he's on stage. And I tell you, it's about the size of a micron, the lettering, the fonts. And it's light gray on white. Right?
So you can't read it.
Practically
I
invisible.
can't read it.
Practically
Yes, you showed
invisible.
me. Oh, it's there written. I said, look, buddy. Hey, you can't sell snow to a snowman here. Right? So later, wow, NPS calls me and apologized.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to call them on it.
No, you're absolutely right, which I've been more than willing to do, you know, but maybe that's the wrong approach. Maybe that's what maybe we got to start hiding any fault or anything,
Well,
and
you
just
know,
saying and praising and saying Nikon's the greatest, and they have no faults.
well, the thing is, Chuck, you know, everything I use, we bought
Yes.
with
Yeah.
money. So
Yes.
if I want to talk not so good about a product that I have the right
Yes.
to, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I bought it with
Same
my
here.
own money. Hello?
Same here. Same here.
Correct? If I don't like
Sometimes
ads,
being forthcoming and honest doesn't get you a place in.
You don't get
well,
a
of
seat
course not.
At the table.
Oh,
It doesn't get you a place at the table.
What are you kidding me? They want to surgically remove you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
They want to
You're bad for
systematically
business.
cancel you.
You're bad for business, bro.
Yep, you're absolutely.
So I agree. So what I'm saying is, and I'm not trying to hide Nikon's faults at all. God knows I'm not. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is that if you're gonna play that game, here's what happened. Somebody came along and played the game better than Nikon did.
Well, that
Of
wasn't
course,
hard to
Sony
do.
can.
Yeah.
They got more money than Carter's got pills,
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
they do. And look, and somebody said it earlier. When you think about Sony, you think about PlayStations, all of that stuff. You think about all of that stuff. They had televisions long before they got into cameras.
They own
Still-
Hollywood. Hello, they own
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do. Yes, they do.
Don't
Nikon
they own
cannot
Columbia
compete with
Pictures?
that. Chuck, I know you don't want to hear this, but they cannot compete with that.
Well,
Not that.
then
That-
it's
that's
all
so-
it's all
crazy.
downhill now. It's all doom.
Mhm.
We're
Hey,
done
Tate.
for.
Hey, Tate. Oh,
I don't
no.
know. Why, I don't
mean,
even know why Sony would develop new cameras. They don't have to anymore.
Hey, Chuck, I want to, if you don't mind, I want to bring up this little matter. It has something to do with marketing, a lot
Yeah.
to do with marketing.
Yeah.
And I know, Chuck, you were last Tuesday. You had brought up about this new Hasselblad
Yeah.
what is it, X2D?
H2D
Yeah, X whatever the
or
thing
X
is. Right?
X2D.
where's,
Yeah.
where's Jeff? Where you at,
X2D.
Jeff?
Okay, so here's
let me see. I got it
Go ahead,
here.
John. Go ahead.
so they launched
Hold on,
this
Jeff.
camera, right? This X2D. It's a beautiful.
X2D 100C, baby.
Right. So this thing is $8,600, right? And that's just for the body. By the time you put the lens into it, you're knocking on 12, 13K, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Now I've got 3 Hasselblads, so I know what I'm talking about. So I kind of put, I don't know, man, $13,000 and it doesn't even have 8K video. It's not even weatherproof. Come on, right? Half jokingly.
Oh, doesn't have any video.
It doesn't have anything, right? It doesn't have any
nothing.
video. So I was half joking, Jeff, you know, and it doesn't have X, Y, Z, right? And then phase detect. Oh my God. Phase detect. Oh, this is revolutionary. Come on, you know, what? Olympus has had it since what? 10 years ago. So anyway,
Yeah.
I make this comment. I get the guy from Photo, and he says to me, indirectly, he says, this camera is for the affluent and not for poor people.
Okay.
You mean that new Hasselblad that just came out last week?
Yeah. So I say what?
Hey, don't say that about the camera that starts with the letter L, or somebody's going to join in the chat real quick.
I said, you talking to me? I said, are you talking to me, Mr. Pro Photo? After I spent $8,000 of your stuff from you, you're insulting me? You're telling me I'm poor and I got 3 of these things? And not just 3, one of them's the 80th anniversary, which Diana bought. And that was $20,000.
Yeah.
And you're telling me I ain't got no money? What are you, on glue?
Wow.
So
Wow.
the dealer, this is 12 midnight, right? The dealer goes and calls him and scolds him, says, what are you doing? What are you doing to my customer? The guy spent $250,000 last year with us. And now he spent $6,000, $8,000 with you, and then you're insulting him? Oh my God.
Yeah.
We see you, Jeff. John, your
So
point.
there you go. So Chuck, getting back to the marketing, you see how that works? To the affluent,
Yeah.
to the elitist. He's saying, hey, I'm not you're not elite enough. You don't deserve it.
Well, I mean, that guy's a nut, I guess. I mean, yeah,
Wow.
but I understand, like is the same way.
America.
It's not for your entry level photographer. You're not
So
going to
you mean,
graduate to the
Chuck,
Leica
may I ask
overnight.
John a question about
Please.
that? John, first of all,
Yes,
the
sir.
temerity, the unmitigated gall for someone to talk to another human being like that. And then number two, did you get a chance to respond to that foolishness?
I was gonna go ballistic, but my wife did. She responded. Let her do it. She said it in her
You should have
eloquent
given
way.
him the number. You should have given him the number 2.
I'm not as eloquent.
So I
would
noticed-
agree.
But may I ask him, Chuck, please, let me ask the last question. So what's your point about marketing? For those of us in the back who are a little slow, what's your point about marketing, John? On
My
that
point
with
in
that
marketing is you can pinpoint this and pinpoint it to however you want it to go.
Okay. Got you. I got you. Mhm. I got you.
Sanjit Paul in here. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Glad you like the Sunday morning sessions there. Same thing with John over here, except for Diana will be telling him it's time to go eat lunch before long.
Oh, she's packing.
Oh, so before I hijacked my own stream here, I noticed everybody was talking about the new Fuji. What is it? The H2S. I can't remember what it is. The new Fuji that just came out, and talking about the price point on it and what it does. And again, I'm not going to get into, well, it's not as good as whatever. Who cares? The bottom line is it's a camera, and a lot of people are enthused about that. So APS-C is still ringing, loudly with a large segment of photographers.
Yeah, I like APS-C. I got no issues with it.
Yeah.
Chuck, may I ask a question, Chuck?
Please.
All right. Over the last month or so, have you found more people who like the ZFC, Z50, or the Z30? What has been your take back? I only want to ask if it's in line with what you want to talk about, Chuck.
No, I haven't talked to anybody that has it or anything like that, but I think that momentum seems to be with the Z30 right now because there's more discussion about it than there is. ZFC comes up. I think the Z50 is kind of left out there on its own.
Mm-hmm. What are you guys hearing over there, John?
The ZFC has just kind of disappeared, and the 30 is right behind it.
You mean disappearing? You mean?
I mean, I just don't hear anything about it. No one's buying it that I heard. It was kind of hot for the first 10 days. Then it just lukewarm to, I don't know what happened. I see him sitting on the shelf. I'm
gonna ask Jeff to hold up the rant meter real quick because I'm gonna speak to a point that Chuck was making 2 months ago. The ZFC, the Z30 should have been priced at about $200 less than it is. Easily. It would have flown out like hotcakes at $300, $250 less. That's what I personally think. It would have been at Costco, Walmart, Target, if they had made it available like that.
Well, I'll tell you why they didn't, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because the competitor, the Sony's competitive camera is basically in that price range, if not a little bit more. So they could have undercut them and really, went crazy by undercutting them big time. But I think they priced it to be right on line with, within $50 or $75 of what Sony had out.
So, yeah, and let me add to that. I think you bring up a good point, Ron, but it resonates more with the Nikon community than it does outside the Nikon community. I haven't heard of a lot of people. Well, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything on YouTube about people that have, that shoot whatever brand, and yet they've grabbed a Z30 and thought, hey, this is great. Let me make a video about it. I haven't seen anybody do that.
But Chuck, that helps speak to the point that I'm making about your point.
Mhm.
You don't have the room, Nikon, or the cachet to compete with Sony like that when you're behind on the perception totem pole. That 200 off, I believe, would have made a difference and could possibly still make a difference. It may be too late now, but it could have made a difference.
I'm not going to say I'm right, but I wanted the Z6 III before any Z30 like camera, because I think, again, I use this analogy all the time. Fill the team. You got 5 players on the floor. You can't start putting people on the bench when you only have 2 players on the floor or 1 player on the floor. You got to fill the team first.
That one player, the Z9, is Will Chamberlain.
There you go. That's it. That's it. And where's the Z9 now? How much talk or buzz is there about the Z9? They just got tired of kicking it around. Everybody had to take a break because their feet hurt from kicking it so much, all the other influencers. So it's been quiet. But Z9, I think the Z9 sales are beginning to fill. I know we'll get some argument from people in Europe, but I think in Europe it's doing okay as well. It's finally picking up over in Europe. So the bottom line is, all those naysayers that, say, well, they're not going to deliver another full frame camera until the Z9 has run its gamut. I think it's done that. It's done. Sales for the Z9 are just going to be trickle from this point forward. And it's time for them to start filling out the team. But if you had a full team out there making a name for Nikon, then there may be other people that would say, hey, what about this little Nikon Z30 for whatever, blah, blah, blah. It would get more exposure from others if Nikon had a full lineup right now. I know Nikon can't give us a full lineup overnight, but I think they're missing the boat when they don't get that next affordable camera with these new technologies. That's the key. Everybody will say the Z6 II is a great camera. The Z7 II is a great camera. They are, but they're not the greatest. They're not. And we've tasted what Nikon can do. So Z6 II is no longer, a tasty item. It's time for that to move on, which is why they just, discontinued the Z6, which they did to the Z7 not long ago. I'd like to say that's an indicator, but with Nikon, I don't know whether it is or not. An indicator meaning we've opened up production facilities for something else. We no longer produce. And if they just said it, Nikon just said it, then they quit producing those cameras months ago. They just didn't say it until now.
Okay.
So, but we need a Z6 III. We need a Z7 III. We need a Z8. We need those cameras. We need at least one of them. And that's why I still believe October we're going to get something. And
well, Tony already knows the Z8's coming. He did the math. Did you see that? I did the math.
No, I haven't watched him forever now.
Well, it was just the other day.
Gustavo said, Chuck, what do you think about what Gustavo said? To Paul, he said, I see a lot of D5 and D50 shooters out there waiting for an affordable, up-to-date mirrorless technology.
Yeah. And, I was just looking through my D5 photos before we started this. And, I was really happy with my D5. I'm really happy with my Z9. But not everybody can go out and buy a Z9. Even though it's the most affordable flagship you'll see probably in the, from now on. But no, a lot of people can't afford it. So Nikon has to get that affordable camera in there. And there are so many people. If you look at all the comments on all the shows on YouTube, everybody's waiting for that Z8 or Z6 III or Z7 III. Why? Why not just go buy a Z7 II or a Z6 II?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? Anybody know? Why not?
Perception. The perception.
No, new technology's on the table. Why go buy old technology unless you just want a good deal?
Because
I love my Z6. I love my Z6.
I'm streaming on a Z6 right now.
It's
I'll
only been
carry
on the market for like 4 years, and then they're going to shut it down. I mean, the
technology,
FM2, FM3
technology,
lasted
John.
10 years.
Technology's going through the roof. You can't stop it, and people want the
No.
newest technology, and that's the way it is. You can't stop the consumer. The consumer wants what he wants.
Well, I think with Nikon reminds me of NASA. NASA is horrible about marketing themselves because people say, why do we give money to NASA? What in the heck do we ever get out of going into space? What does that do for us? And I did work for NASA, and there's a ton of stuff that technological breakthroughs that you've gotten from them, but they don't promote themselves. And Nikon has the same problem. They got great stuff. They don't promote themselves. They sit back and say, well, it's like somebody saying, well, I know this is the best widget. I shouldn't have to tell anybody that you know, anybody with half a brain is going to know this is the best widget. Well, it doesn't work that way. You got to promote, man. You got to promote what you got.
Yeah.
They used to.
But you know what? You got to build bridges too. You got to build more bridges too, Jeff, than the bridges you got. You got to build with that Generation Z, the millennials. You got to build geographically. You got to be very strategic and very intentional about how you're going to build your brand and build out, because you know it's just there's a whole lot that's missing that could be there, you know, for Nikon. It's low-hanging fruit. Just on the Z9, Chuck talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Just on the Z9, there's low-hanging fruit. The shutter-free stuff. John, I couldn't believe how amazing that was, even though I use it as steeplechase. But now photographing on the PGA with no sound, getting 30 frames a second, and up 5 feet from McElroy.
And as unpopular as it is in this crowd, video. And it's so unpopular in this crowd. Why? Because we're old film shooters. Was no film, you know, that we would shoot back in the day for you know, movies, except for home movies.
So Z-Wade is funny.
Yeah.
Generation Z-Wade.
And believe it or not, that's one of the holdbacks, John, for the Z6 II and the Z7 II. People buying it. And you can argue all day long. We can all argue all day long and say you don't need it. Forget that. That's a dumb old phrase anymore. Forget that phrase. That's stupid. So
I just want to say this, Chuck. You guys, and I'm gonna say this in this space, Chuck, only because it's serving a greater point. I was blessed my son and I just finished photographing this comedian named Cat Williams, and it just went live last week. The only reason we did not have video footage of that is because in the non-disclosure agreement and the lawyers, they wanted to make sure we didn't do any video, just stills.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because my son has been, I'm gonna send y'all some of the videos he's been doing. He's growing exponentially with that Z6 II. And I'm saying that because he doesn't even know how to shoot stills.
Yeah.
It's all about the video for him.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, good point, Ron. Hey, Paul, you don't have to be good to buy a new camera. There's a secret. You don't have to be a good photographer to buy a new camera. And they do it all the time. Mm-hmm. And any camera maker that tried to push this point that so many people are talking about, what you have is good enough, is a fool as a camera maker. In their eyes, it's never good enough. Buy the next one. And that's what people want to do. So, you know, this re-education thing, I'm not going to go down that rant. You know, I'll let Amar do that over on his channel. He's going to re-educate the masses. And, you know, God bless him. Good luck. Good luck with that. Okay. But people buy today because they want. High-end professionals maybe buy what they need. Maybe. Okay. But the average Joe doesn't. He doesn't buy what he needs. I don't need a Z9. I bought it. Why? Because I want it.
It's Jeff. Where you at, Jeff?
I'm sinking. Disappearing.
Chuck, Chuck, it took me some time to intellectually wrap my mind around that, the depth of what you're saying. But it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true.
So one of the things about the Z6 II and the Z7 II is, you know what it is? It doesn't shoot 10-bit internally.
Yeah.
Now, that means nothing to you, John, or you, Jeff, or Ron, or me, but it's high demand for those that want it. Whether they ever use it or not doesn't matter. It's what they want. It's what they're waiting for. Those little ticks in technology that we saw come out in the Z9 go so far above what's in previous generation Nikon mirrorless cameras that people want it, and they're going to get it. I don't know when, but that's what they're waiting for.
Cameras are like automobiles, right? Okay, now we got power steering. We have anti-lock brake systems. We have cruise control that could keep your car 2 or 3 car lengths behind the guy in front of you. Adaptive cruise control. All this stuff, it'll never ever stop because they can't sell anything new if they don't add another button.
Welcome to capitalism, and it's great.
It's never going to stop. And like you said, do you need it? That's argumentative, and it doesn't matter. If it gets people's eye, they're going to want it. They're going to buy it. Simple as that.
A little secret. Film shooters dwarf DSLR shooters for the first couple of years too. Look where that went. Mm-hmm. So my point is, give mirrorless a few more years. It's already moving at high speed.
Have y'all seen, Chuck, to that point that Neth is making? Have you seen those numbers or any projections on what that looks like?
There's nowhere to find that information other than just doing local polls or however you want to run a poll yourself. It's just like, I said, if I could get one bit of information out of Nikon, I'll tell you what I'd want. Not what's coming next, not the technology. How many sales do they have for each model, each camera? I'd love to have that, because that would solve so many arguments with people, especially those that think everybody's a professional and Nikon only builds for professionals, or Canon or Sony only builds for professional. It's only the professional photographers that they build for. I'd love to have those numbers. I'd love to, but we're not going to get them.
And I don't just mean Nikon's mirrorless versus DSLRs. I meant in general.
Yeah, well, we can answer that real quick for Sony, can't we?
Sony had no choice. Sony had no choice. They had no history, Chuck.
Right.
They don't.
I get it.
So that would be easy for them.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's the advantage to be in the beginning the lowest guy on the totem pole, because you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You have to reach for the stars, and you have to be aggressive, because you're not trying to protect anything. No, you have nothing at that moment in time.
Yeah.
So you have nothing to lose. You can be very aggressive. You're going to have a very aggressive marketing program. You're going to do whatever you can, because you got to flip people, or you got to get all the new people to want your stuff and nobody else's. So
again, I don't want to exclude the Sony, Fuji, Canon shooters that may be in the audience. And so let me bring this up real quick. There's been a lot of speculation. Simon over at Ordinary Filmmaker has tried his best to whittle down the time frame for the new for the Canon R1. And now there's even discussion, is the R3 really the flagship? Will there be an R1? But the bottom line is, I think we all know there's going to be an R1. The R3 was not it. There's going to be something that comes out to compete with Sony and Nikon, of course. When the R1 comes out, that's going to be a big seller. I don't mean the R1 will be a big seller. Of course, it's going to sell some cameras, but that's going to sell all the cameras that fall out underneath it as well. It's just another right now, Nikon has a premier model on a pedestal up above, and then the shelf below it's empty all the way to the bottom. That's where Nikon is. And Canon has filled theirs up going from the bottom up. And now they're going to get to put the cherry on the sundae here with their R1 when that comes out. And of course, Sony's been, just churning along, punching cameras out constantly. And everybody will say, well, that's crazy to do that. Well, evidently it isn't, because it's working for Sony. So Nikon has got to get the team filled out. When that R1 comes out, that's going to pull more people. I mean, a new crowd, those that are just getting into the brand. That's going to pull more people to Canon. I don't really care. Canon can be number one. Sony can be number one, but Nikon needs to do something about their marketing. So
well, maybe when Nikon bought that, what is it, 3D?
Yeah, the metal 3D.
Maybe I don't know what that has to do with anything. Maybe that has something to do with new products coming out.
It may, or just it diversifies the company, and there's more income for the company itself. Nikon as a whole, absolutely.
$620 million for this company.
Yeah,
they must make some kind of widgets.
Hey, John, that proves Nikon ain't going out of business anytime soon, don't it?
Well, exactly.
We can let that. They can stop those. They can stop those lies.
Now, I just got to throw this in there. And then,
Tony.
I got to throw this in there, and then I got to go take a leak and let you all fight. Nikon had better get on the ball on the lenses too, the deliveries. Right now, that's in the Nikon camp. Look how many people in here. As soon as I bring up the 800 PF, Greg Wilson's going to definitely chime in. Where's my 800 PF? Not only where is it, will they even make them again anytime soon?
Hey, Greg, I'll see if I got one on my shelf back here.
According to Nikon, or distributors, you can't buy one. You can't even order one right now. That and the 400 2.8 TC. So I don't know what Nikon needs to do. I think Nikon needs to open up some more production facilities. I know it takes money, but the bottom line is that's hurting Nikon as well. I can't deliver what I'm promising or what I develop.
Well, Paul Connors did talk about that earlier. How the manufacturers, how the retailers are upset in New Jersey that Nikon misled them on when availability would be delivered. So Jeff, I think it's on you now, right?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm being patient, but I'm starting to get a little bit irked. I've had my 500 PF in for service since August 18th. They got it on August 18th, and they still have no parts to fix it.
What's wrong with it?
So how long am I going to be without my primary lens in my kit? And you think that this isn't starting to ruffle my feathers a little bit? It is. It's really starting to get on my nerves.
What's wrong with it, Jeff?
Autofocus motor, I think, died. It was grinding and making squealing sounds.
Oh, yeah.
And which camera is this, Jeff?
My 500 PF lens.
Okay.
And so they've had it. I'm going to give them 2 more weeks, and then I'm going to call where I bought the lens and my camera and everything else and see if they could put some pressure on them or call a Nikon rep for me or whatever, because I use that lens minimum 4 times a week. 4 times a week.
You're a bird shooter, right?
Yeah, I'm shooting with my 1-4, which is a nice lens, but I like my 500, baby. I like that lens. And I'm not a happy camper. And, so you want to PO somebody that, I haven't had the stuff as long as you guys, but I've been shooting Nikon for 20 years.
Yeah.
So you got a customer that's bought, I gotta say this quiet so my wife don't kill me, tens of thousands of dollars worth of Nikon stuff, and I can't get my friggin' lens fixed.
Are you an MPS member?
Nope, because I don't generate any income from what I do. I do not have a business. I do it because I love to do it.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering because if your NPS they would provide you with the loaner.
Oh, sure.
You know.
But okay, but I bought all my own stuff.
Where do
I
you
bought-
live, Jeff? Jeff, where do you live? Jeff,
What's
where do
that?
you live? Where do you live?
I live in Myrtle Beach.
Are there any professional camera stores near there? What's the closest one to you?
I have no clue, but there's not one in the state of South Carolina.
What about North Carolina?
Don't know.
See, John and Jeff, this is what I'm talking about. There needs to be, and I can only speak for Nikon USA. There needs to be some level of representation on your side. Your NPS, the NPS rep lives in Atlanta. That would be the closest one to you, because I know the NPS rep on that. No, he lives in South Carolina, actually.
If I've bought in my lifetime, no lie, probably 30K worth of Nikon gear. I had a D100, a D200, a D300, a D3S, two D850s, a Z9, and lenses. And I can't get taken care of. Oh, because I'm not NPS.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
I agree.
I'm not some guy that owns one camera with a 50mm lens, and that's all I ever bought from you.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. There needs to be another tier, a level of support, like something like this.
I always buy the back end, Ron. If you buy a camera and there's no back end support, it's basically useless because you end up like Jeff. You want to go with your buddies to go birding, and then you can't go because you don't have your 500.
Mosman just said two things with you, man.
Spartansburg, South Carolina.
I hear you, Gustavo, and I'm not the most popular guy because I've said some things to some of the muckety mucks within the organization about missing the boat. When you're missing people, you got to value people, and you got to value what you have. And what Sony did was Sony said, come on, all you guys who are disgruntled, all you nameless people, folk who don't have big reps and don't have real education, we're going to embrace you. We're going to love you. And by the way, that Nikon guy over there, he's no good. He's evil. He doesn't have what we have. We love you.
Yeah, but Sony's back end is not very good. I mean, I like in my area, they hire third party warranties, repair workers. They farmed it off. They outsourced that. It used to be Sony, but now they farmed it off.
Mm-hmm.
So your stuff could get lost.
Hey, John. But as you know, the old saying goes, in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to that, my friend.
Or is it eye
oh my God.
The eye in the middle of the head? That guy?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And then what they do, they end up killing him, right?
Yeah, they end up killing him.
That's right.
And so I think that we have, I think that for me, it boils back down to Chuck and to the team. I do this because I love it so much. And it loves me back, and I do it because it puts food on my table. And I do it because, and I use Nikon because there's certain things I prefer. I prefer the build quality, the ergonomics, the color science. And I'll be honest with you, Chuck, I told you this a long time ago. I wasn't so big on the eye autofocus thing because Sony sent me the A99 or A9, and something else they sent me. I used it for like a week. But my God, I wanted to scratch my eyes out. I tried it. The A7 IV and the It was just before the A1, the A9 II. They sent it to me for a week, and I enjoyed them. I mean, it was cool, but it didn't make me want to switch because
And Ron, in your profession, I mean, you are very, very good at what you do. You're very fortunate that you are one of the few that is still around making money out of this game. And then and I know you're only as good as your last picture, right?
Yes, sir. Boy, look.
And you gotta be on top of your game constantly.
It's a dog eat dog world, John.
It's a dog eat dog world.
Oh my God.
And then the tools that you have better come through. It's gotta be right on.
I didn't get a chance to say this with Vahagan, John. Chuck, at the end, if you go to my website, you'll see the picture of Rory McIlroy holding up the cup, right?
Right.
What the story behind that photo? I had to go New Orleans ghetto because, man, those folk were not Jeff. I've seen sharks off the coast of South Africa, but my goodness, Rory McIlroy won $18 million on that day. The Z9 had to be on point, and it was. And I'm saying that to say you're right. The margins are so small. You don't have time for games. The margins.
Can you imagine, Ron, that you get blocked out of that shot when he's holding that? I mean, this is it, man.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's like a wedding, Chuck. That's like a wedding, Jeffrey.
Oh,
there's one chance.
You get one chance and you blow it, you're done. You're done.
You're done.
That's it. Your history.
Chance, baby. Oh, y'all do that again. No, you can't do that.
No.
Jump over that broom one more time. No, you can't do that.
No, that's like that commercial where the baby takes its first steps and the guy says, "What did I miss?" Oh, the baby took its first steps, and he says, "Well, can he do it again?" What, the first steps? No, you can't do the first steps again. I already did
it. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Nope, you're right. And now Albert made a comment talking about you can't tell the difference between, a flagship and, another model camera in the lineup. And okay, I can agree with that. You know what? But what you don't know is what it took to get that photo. And
Chuck, this is where Ron and I are on the same part, because we both have done this.
Yep.
Your gear is so important. It's got to come through, man. There cannot be a hiccup, because you cannot make it happen again.
You don't get a replay.
And you better have the finest stuff so it doesn't let you down.
You better have lawyers
and not afford it. And the photo, then the editor is going to say, "Hey man, did you get that shot?" And you go, "He did. Why didn't you?"
And right? Why did that come up? Look, Chuck, we're gonna one day, Chuck, we had a post meeting and we had to go through those exact questions. I don't care. Chuck and Jeff, I was so tired that night with you guys, right? Remember that? I was so tired that night, man.
You were hugging the bed sheets.
Bed sheets. John. I did 6.5 miles of walking, John. And I was like, God, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be something better than this other than a car. My point being, John is right. They came right to that very question, John. All right, show me y'all Rory pictures. I need 25 Rory McIlroy photos. Not 20, not 10. I need 25. All of us had to deliver. We all delivered about 40, 50 images. Said, hey, here's Rory. Pop, 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 boom, 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 boom. And he was in a backlit situation, you guys, where the sun was facing us. He was so under, and the flash, John, had to be on point. The flash had to be on point. So the SB 900, 910, SB 5000, all of them, we were out there working, man.
Ron, how many times you go into the media room, right? And you miss the picture, says, hey man, give me an outtake, buddy. Come on, please. One outtake. I'll do anything for you.
Look,
Next
man,
one's
here's
$100.
Give me an outtake.
Here's
Yeah,
150
you open
that
up your wallet. You open up your wallet and just throw the money in the air. Here you go.
All right, all right. How about this one? I'll take it. Give it to me.
And I could look, I couldn't afford to live like that, because the truth is, Chuck, this is why, you know, when I said this the other day, Chuck and Jeff and John, and you all know this, there's no compromise when it comes to your gear. There's no compromise.
No.
The 7200 is hard as hell to carry that thing for 18 holes.
Ooh.
But you got to have it. It will not fail. It will not fail.
Failure is not an option, man. It is not.
Nope, you're absolutely right. Anybody that shoots any kind of events, that's the way it is. There are no replays. It's only one time that, you know, something happens. If you didn't
And then
catch
commercial
it, that's it.
photography. If you've done commercial photography, you work with ad agencies and whatnot, and you shoot models or products or whatever. And that stupid old question of, do you need 100 megapixel? Absolutely yes, because the creative director's
if I didn't need it,
wants to see it. And if you're shooting hair commercials like Procter and Gamble, they want to see DNA.
Hey, I saw a video.
John,
Come on.
I'm gonna turn it
Are
to
you guys
Chuck.
watching the chat? Are you guys watching the chat?
What's it say?
Keep an eye on the chat over here, gentlemen. They're part of this conversation.
Okay,
Well, it's
yeah.
so tiny,
I'm gonna turn it to Chuck. And if I didn't want it, if I didn't need it, I want it.
I thought I saw a YouTube video where they had Ron on film, and he's yelling at Rory saying, "Hey, I missed that last one. Can you drop another ball and hit it again?"
No,
I
brother.
thought I saw that video.
That was not this Ron Pollard. That was not this Ron Pollard, brother.
somebody else.
No.
That was Ron out there saying, "Hey, Roy, take your provisional."
Yeah.
I missed your team shot. Take a provisional.
You remember that mulligan, Troy? You remember that mulligan? I need a mulligan.
Mulligan, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one kiss in the wedding. You miss it, and you missed it.
Yeah. So anyway, Chuck, I'm with you, man. So in the chat, let me see. Ended up Z-Wade said they ended up in the 9th ward. Good luck. God bless you, brother. You got out. Praise God. Okay. Z-Wade, you got to the 9th ward. Okay. Nikon is scared to lose its pros more than they're about losing the amateurs, which is a mistake. They should take care of both. In their minds, they think they are. In their minds, they think they are. How do you pronounce his name, Chuck? Fell M?
Fell, yeah.
Fell, okay. Thank you, Mike. I'm just doing the best I can, brother. I'm just being me. I'm being really me.
I wonder where Mr.
Chuck. What do you think Sony's going to release next as a camera? What do you think Sony's got coming next?
I have no idea. No idea. You know, everybody's yammering for the A7R5 right now, I guess.
Really? Hold on, when did the 4 come out?
Yesterday.
Yeah. So they're all, I mean, that seems to be the big buzz. They want to see the A7R5. I don't even know what it is.
Why? Why?
Well, it seems maybe there's a higher megapixel sensor available now, I guess.
The beautiful thing about Sony, about Minolta, when they got bought out by Sony, was they went to the world's largest entertainment conglomerate. They did.
Well, I mean, Sony made out because they had, I mean, Minolta had, I own Minolta products. They had phenomenal engineers, and they had fantastic lenses, and they had great cameras.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure, you know, they just said, okay, Minolta, yeah, you're officially gone, but your guys now work for Sony. you know,
Sony
they didn't have to hire newbies to work on their cameras. You know what I'm saying?
Jeff, Sony scored on that buy.
Oh yeah,
they got the best engineers and light meter system.
Yeah,
the Minolta light meter system was the best in the world. That's why Leica joint ventured with them years ago. because
All
of the
the
light
R,
meter.
most of the R cameras were done with
Minolta.
Minolta and Leica together.
So I
Right.
think that you're right. So, I don't know how the Sony fans feel about it because they're really happy with the smaller bodies.
Mhm.
But I'm wondering if they'll make a full size body. I just have a feeling they won't. I don't know why. I just don't think they're going to make it. But
You don't, huh?
here's a
They're
question.
not even.
Let's go to the 67 megapixel sensor. We know that one exists, or we think we know it exists.
Yeah, Tony did the math.
How much? Yeah, how much higher do we need to go? Where do we need to go? I know this is going to get some ire up.
Well, the problem is like when you talk about, and we had a little bit of a discussion about medium format cameras last Saturday, I believe. We talked about them a little bit. If you don't just keep it, when the sensor size stays the same and it's 35 millimeters, and you just keep packing on megapixels onto megapixels, you're not doing yourself any favors. The pixels are getting too small, and you're just not gathering the light as well. I mean, there's compromises there, and you get to a point, and that's why some people are going to drool at some of these Fuji medium format because you got such a larger sensor size, and your pixels are larger, your photo sites are bigger, you collect more light, you're going to have better.
So Mike
everything better.
brings up a great point. Does that count when you're shooting in a studio? No, because you're lighting your scene the way you want it. So it doesn't count. It doesn't matter. You just get a whole lot more resolution. Am I correct?
Partly true.
So we can't look at it as an all rounder. I guess it's not a go out and shoot wildlife in the evening with 100 megapixel. But could you shoot in a studio? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, for print purposes, when you use a 100 megapixel camera or even a 50, it's a huge difference when you have a 15 stop dynamic range and 16-bit. I mean, it is massive, and especially when you got to print it though.
Yeah.
When you see the prints from Diana's 907X, we just printed one that we took in Bali. It is absolutely mind-blowing, a 20 by 23 print. And you can only appreciate it. Looks like a Rembrandt painting.
Yeah. So, okay. So should Nikon join that group and have one of their cameras, not all of them, gentlemen, one of their cameras, a super high megapixel camera? Is anybody opposed to that?
No,
I'm not opposed.
to
I'm not
it.
opposed to it. I
opposed to
mean,
it.
if I myself wouldn't be in the market for it, but I'm not opposed to it.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I wouldn't.
There you go.
I wouldn't.
I don't
I
care
wouldn't
what.
be.
I don't care.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
knock
so many
yourself
people
out.
are opposed, saying Nikon shouldn't do it. You know, you get all the Nikon faithful that no, I only want 12 megapixel. I used to
For the
shoot with
fashion,
that.
for the fashion and editorial guys, that Hasselblad just came out. Those in the
Mhm.
studio, the Carl Taylor types of the world, man,
Yep.
that would be amazing. John just told you they want to see DNA, they want to see birth records, they want to see your family history
Yeah,
in those
exactly.
cameras, man. They want to see your
Exactly.
complete lineage. Yeah.
Phil, I can
It-
answer this. I can answer this. No, and thank goodness we should never be happy with and stagnate. Never. Keep wanting more. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, more is better.
But I do think that there's a balance, Chuck, between what you can handle in the real workspace, because it depends on your, as Matt Irwin says, your use case scenario too. I know Chuck disagrees with me on this, but I enjoy my Z7 II in the studio more than I did my D850 by far. For me,
I don't disagree with that.
yeah.
Why
Well,
would
what I
you say
mean
I
is,
disagree with that?
yeah, because for me it became the D850 replacement. That's what I mean. For me,
Yeah.
and because of the
Well,
nature
you know
of what
what?
I was doing, the nature of what I was
And that
doing
purpose, I will agree with you. It is a D850 replacement for that
for that
purpose.
purpose. not
Yes.
for sports.
And by the way, I don't care what anybody says. I owned it. I shot it alongside a D5. It is not a sports camera. I don't care what anybody says.
Which one, the D850?
It works.
Or the
The 850. It works, but it's not a sports camera.
No, it's not.
It never was. I agree, Chuck. I never understood why people thought that was a. I'm like, sports camera, not compared to a D5.
No.
Now, I'm also willing to listen to new technology coming along with AI and computational photography, which is another thing nobody really cares about because all you need is a pinhole camera.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they'll go. Well, I used to shoot with my pinhole camera and take donkey races. Good. Glad to hear it. But
did you make that up? Did you make that up, Chuck?
I guess it just.
I think he has a cheat sheet of catchy phrases in front of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to steal that one.
But the thing is that with all the technology, again, going back to technology, what else is possible? I mean, phase Fresnel lenses were just kind of a thought, even though it's been around since the first lighthouse or many lighthouses, first of the many lighthouses we had, Fresnel lenses. But the point is that came out and shrunk the size of lenses and made them competitive with the giant glass primes. So what kind of technology is coming that's going to give us noise-free photos?
See, man, I'll be glad when Nikon gets to 16-bit.
Well, you want that now, you got to get medium format.
I know. And I don't know that that's going to limit. I don't know that that's going to be the noise solution. But boy,
but I think this is a good conversation to have because a lot of people, they want what they want, but as soon as they hear something, I'll just use the megapixel, super megapixel sensor. Again, they hear that. Well, they don't have a need for it, don't want it. Well, no, that's stupid. Do you? And then we want to go down the rabbit hole of explaining why you don't want it. But you want 16-bit dynamic range or 16 stop dynamic range. Well, I don't know why. If you just expose your photos correctly, you won't have a problem. And that's the problem with us. We eat ourselves. If there are enough cameras in the lineup, maybe everybody gets to have a little bit of what they want in the camera model that they're going to buy. And will Nikon do that for us this time? Has Canon done it? Has Sony done it? I don't know. What do you guys think? Have they done that? Have the other manufacturers done it, or has Nikon done it? Or do we just get the same thing with a couple of missing features instead of tailoring how these cameras are developed and built for who? For certain audiences.
I think they take that into consideration, Chuck. I don't know how well they execute it. I think they take it into consideration. They're all of them, I believe, are trying their best to meet the different use case scenarios that are out there. Some do it better than others. Some have been doing it longer than others too. That's all I can. John. Chuck. What do you think? Jeff. What do you guys think?
Well, what's funny is sometimes something old is still better. And I'll throw out the medium format, the new Hasselblad with the new lenses that they came out with. They got leaf shutters in them. Okay, leaf shutters is something from the 40s, 50s, 60s. Everything was leaf shutters. Yeah. And you say, well, what's so great about that? Well, that's why their lenses are like $2,000 more than a Fuji equivalent for, that doesn't have a leaf shutter, because you could shoot at higher shutter speeds with your flash. And yeah, you have high-speed flash, but high-speed flash is just shooting off spurts to cover, each layer as the shutter's going down. And if you have the leaf shutter, you get full power flash. You're not flashing multiple times. You're just like boom. It's much better. So that's taking technology from the 50s and putting it in a brand new lens. So sometimes something old can be something better. but they're getting you for it. They're getting you for it big time.
Well, the Hasselblad H series lenses, they're all made by Fuji on.
Gotcha.
Now the new lenses, it's nobody knows who makes the new lenses for the new Hasselblads, the 907s and the new X2s or whatever.
Yeah.
We still haven't figured it out who actually makes it, but it says made in Japan on it.
Yeah. But they're a hell of a lot more, excuse my language, they're a lot more expensive than the Fuji, you know. I mean, not even
Oh
close.
yeah, because because of they're extremely heavy.
Oh yeah.
And then with the leaf shutter on it, it does impose a little of a problem as far as putting the sync in the modern day lights to it, because even the Pro Photo triggers, only the old Pro Photo triggers work on it because they have the input output for it. The new ones, they eliminate it for the trigger. So you got to rig something up to put into the 907 because of the leaf shutter deal.
And I think somebody was corrected, not in here, but on one of the reviews I watched for the X2D. Is that it? X2D? Yeah. The sync speed on it is only 1/4000th, not
What? That new
8,000.
Hasselblad?
Yeah. Because of the leaf shutter or whatever. I guess it's essentially a leaf shutter. I think they even had a different name for it or something.
I don't know why they put a clutch on it. Gets me.
Did you see what Z-Wade said?
Which one?
You know, what's crazy? My dream camera,
lens, baby. The lenses are made
no,
by lens, baby.
No, the one he said at 2139. You know what's crazy? My dream camera I talked about with no special features, just a photography monster, exists and is more expensive than most of my stuff combined. Hello, new Hasselblad. LOL. Chuck, may I ask John a question?
Please.
And Jeff.
Man.
I want to start with John first. John, when you saw that new Hasselblad, what was there anything about it, since you are an experienced Hasselblad shooter, was there anything about it that stood out to you, that impressed you, that made you consider maybe I might want to look at this thing and put another $20,000 into Hasselblad's hands?
Well, I think that the two most impressive things is having 1 terabyte internal storage.
That's ridiculous.
That was I was impressed. That impressed me.
Okay.
Number 2, I like the fact that it has phase detect, because the 907, the focusing system will just drive you nuts. You get down to 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the evening, it ain't focusing on nothing, because the focusing system is so old.
Okay.
I think those are the 2 major things. I mean, price aside,
right?
The 100 megapixel, that doesn't do anything for me because I already got a Fuji, GFX 100S at half the price, and that's weather sealed, and this puppy's not.
Is it 16-bit? That Fuji, is that Fuji 16-bit?
Oh yeah. Of course, they use the same sensor.
Almost the same sensor.
And then the deal breaker for me is it's not weather sealed. Like, we're going off to Mongolia next week, and weather sealing is extremely important. Or you go to Iceland or something, and that moisture is going to get in. Now, all the Fuji machines are all weather sealed, but the Hasselblad, definitely not. It's definitely not waterproof, because Diana had one on her neck and she fell into our rice irrigation ditch a couple months ago.
What about you?
Aren't you taking care of your wife, John? You letting her fall in ditches and stuff? Holy
well, no, I mean, she was just Maven to go take this shot on the rice terrace above me. And then she found out that my position was better, so she comes down, slip, kaboom, bang.
What about you, Jeff? What did it, that new one, anything about it attract you?
Well, I'll
If it's
tell you.
okay to ask that, Chuck.
Well, the storage is nice, but to me, if it's not removable by the operator, where you could replace it if it goes bad or put another one in, it's not necessarily totally a great thing, because then if it goes bad, you got to bring it in for repair.
You know, you got a very good point
The
there.
concept is very good, but
Yeah,
they should
I
have
like
made it so it was removable. And it is a beautifully designed camera. I mean, ergonomically and looks, it is phenomenal looking camera. I mean, it is gorgeous, drop dead. But I wouldn't pay that kind of money for it, because, and here's the argument people have with both the Fujis that are out now and even this Hasselblad. They'll say, well, that's not really a medium format camera. And they're right and they're wrong. And I'll explain that in a second. The definition in the new world of digital cameras is a medium format camera is any sensor that's larger than 24 millimeters by 36 millimeters. So anything bigger than 35 millimeter is classified as medium format. But most connoisseurs of the medium format realm will tell you, hey, the smallest medium format in the film days was when you had the 6 millimeter by 4.5, 6 centimeter by 4.5 centimeter negative. And the only sensor that comes close to representing the equivalent of that smallest medium film format is the H series Hasselblads or the Phase 1 cameras, because those sensors are 53.7 by 40.2 millimeters. So, and they're still not the equivalent of the smallest film medium format image size, because that would have been 56 millimeter by 41.5. So it's just shy, but for government, you know, as they say, close enough for government work. So they get the nod as being where people argue, well, the Fuji isn't a real medium format, the Hasselblad isn't a real medium format. And compared to the film, what was medium format in film, technically they're correct, but the new definition for digital is anything bigger than a 35 millimeter sensor is considered medium format. So that's a point of argument that everybody has right now, you know.
Okay. Wow.
But that's a little history.
Okay. Those sensors the files looked unbelievable that I saw from that new Hasselblad. Oh, they looked incredible.
Yeah, you talk about color science, huh?
The ultimate, almost like the ultimate.
Yeah.
Would you say their color science is stronger than Leica's? Or as strong?
I mean, as good, yeah, I think. But, you know, like I said, I wouldn't pay that cost for, to me, I would want, I'm being greedy, you know, I'd want the even bigger sensor. If I was going to spend the money, I'd want the even bigger sensor. But now you're talking the H series Hasselblads, which are well over, you know, probably $25,000 cameras, which, you know.
Are those, but those aren't mirrorless, are they?
No, they're digital. They're not mirrorless. But
Okay.
that was the older series Hasselblads, but they're you don't know if you don't want to drive a car anymore and you sell your car, you might be able to buy one. But
you know, all this makes me think, Chuck, that Nikon's going to come out with a 60, 70 megapixel body at some point soon.
I think so too.
That's what I'm thinking, that we're going to get a 60, 70 megapixel studio fashion body, editorial body.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't see why they wouldn't. Here comes John. John's back again. Don't know what happened, John, but now I can see you in the green room there to bring you back in.
I just redid the whole thing over again.
All right. Yeah, I think they will too. But the nice thing about it is, you know, this goes back to that lineup, the Z8 and the Z7 III and the Z6 III. I think the Z7 III would be the obvious choice for the super high megapixel camera.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Chuck, Greg Wilson, nature photographer, said, I don't need a Hazy for wildlife photography. I just want it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Absolutely, Greg. If it were only true, though, buddy, that would be funny. I'm a wildlife photographer and I shoot with a Hasselblad. I love it.
Well, you know, Matt Irwin makes a comment. Oh, you know, you could fit a medium format sensor in a Z9 because of the Z mount system. Here's my thing. We all want, you know, we all talk about, well, dynamic range would be better, such and such. If you had a larger sensor than 35 millimeter, okay, hear me out, a larger sensor than 35 millimeter, but you didn't make it 100 megapixels. Like some people like the 50 megapixel Fuji better because it's the same sensor size as the 100 megapixel one, but being 50 megapixels, all your pixels are larger.
Look at that 54 millimeter lens there. I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Sensor there.
So, so if you put in a bigger sensor, but let's say you put in a bigger sensor and it's a 50 megapixel sensor, you're going to have incredible dynamic range. You're going to have incredible low light performance. And I don't know why they don't do something like that. Instead of just saying, okay, same size sensor as always, so let's make it 80 megapixels. Let's make it 100 megapixels. Make the sensor bigger. If you can put a bigger one in the box, you know, the mirror box of that camera, put a bigger sensor in, but keep the megapixels the same so the photo sites are bigger, and you're going to have fantastic dynamic range. You're going to have fantastic low noise performance, and the world is going to love it.
You know, I'm not buying that, Jeff. I'm not buying. That's old technology. I agree with you from the old standpoint, but there may be new around the corner to defeat some of this. That's not a physics thing yet. That's a technology thing. It's not like glass and the size of glass. That's physics. But this isn't. This is technology. John showing this beautiful sensor over here. You see that thing? Man.
John, what is that?
By the way, it's not waterproof.
For those of us in the back, for those of us in the back of the building, John, what is that?
I thought I saw a green reflection on my head a second ago.
Yeah.
It's a 907 Hasselblad 907X. That's that got dumped into a rice paddy irrigation ditch. So I'm just telling you, it ain't weatherproof.
And how many megapixels is that?
That's 50.
And so it's no good now?
Oh, it's paperweight.
You got to use it as a bookend. The whole book's up or something, I guess. I don't know.
This is $5,000 worth gone.
Miss Diane must have been mad at herself, huh?
Oh my God.
She was so
Most
upset.
expensive vacation she's ever been on.
Yeah.
Then she had to go buy another one.
Let me ask you a question, John. You getting ready to go to you said you're in Mongolia. Are you taking any Nikons with you?
Of course. What are you on glue? What are you new? Of course.
You talking about all that Fuji stuff you're taking.
He's going back to
Kodak.
Kodak.
For landscape. That's
Kodak
for landscape.
Instamatics, man. Kodak
That's for landscape. But my Z9, she's gonna rock and roll on that Eagle Festival thing when them eagles are flying in to catch their prey. I want that thing locked in, man.
So, are you able to do any behind the scenes for us on that, John? Will you be able to get any? Because I want to see that. That's one of my dream jobs, Chuck. That's one of my on my bucket list. I want to go see that in Mongolia. It's gonna be cold, isn't it? Or is it gonna be cold?
It'll be cold, but not that cold. I mean, it's still. It'll be about, I don't know, high 30s, mid 40s, maybe.
So it ain't gonna be Chicago winter cold. Okay.
No. That's not until December. then it gets down to about -20.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
So my brother and my sister are coming along. They're avid fly fishing people, so they want to do some fly fishing over there. And then we're going to go to that eagle festival where the eagles fly down and grab
Hey Chuck, may I ask him, how do we need to follow you on social media to see that, brother? To see the behind the scenes?
Oh, you mean like live?
Live or, you know?
No, pretty tough. I don't think there's much internet connection out there in the middle of nowhere.
John is on Facebook, for those of you that may not know that. He's constantly posting. And I know, John, when you have the opportunity and it's available, you'll probably be doing that while you're over there, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, Chuck, what do you think of some of the, I know you look at some of my postings. I put up some crazy stuff, don't I?
You do. It's interesting. It's always interesting, though.
Yeah. The other day I says, hey, you want enemies in fights? Take up photography.
I love that post. Yeah. If you like arguing or something like that, yeah, and want enemies, get into photography. And somebody asked you why, and you answered them, brands.
John, I just sent you a Facebook friend request.
There you go, John. That's Mozman. Of course, Mozman would put this together.
No, Ron, you're on my Facebook.
I just sent you another friend request on another one.
Oh,
ironic. Rice is what's used to dry electronics out. In this case, it actually ruined them. Hey, I don't want to bypass this internal memory.
Is that the future, you think?
I don't know, because people have, before this came up with the Hasselblad, people were hoping that Nikon would go down that path too, and some of the newer cameras coming up. Internal memory. I don't know that I like that. So I don't like that, because now I have to hook my camera to the computer to actually download photos from that device. Of course, it has a card that you can use as well. But now I want to go back to, because everybody's worried about deleting photos on your cards in camera.
Oh, never do that. Never do that.
So what do you do? What do you do when it's internal?
Oh, you see that you can use it as a backup. That's the beauty of it. You shoot on both sides. So it's
is that camera set up differently to delete photos off that internal memory? You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I'm sure you could, but I think it's more of as a backup system to have internal memory.
Okay, I don't know how it works. I assumed it was there to use regardless.
I would delete the files the same way. I don't think anybody's going to change that.
But
yeah,
never delete your pictures in camera.
Been doing it for years.
Oh,
for years, John. Never, ever have I ever had a problem.
Well,
ever.
then, because I seen some people go, "What did I just do?"
Well, that's when they're deleting them too fast and they get carried away. And
exactly.
They get rid of the good one.
They delete it in the car.
And they took 6 shots and they said, "Oh, I thought I took 7 of it, and the 7th was the best shot," and they delete them all.
That's right. And they do it in the car or a bus or a plane, you know.
Good question. And I don't know if that was explained in any of the demos that the guys were doing when they were reviewing it. Is it just a buffer thing? Is it just moving it?
No.
It's actually they show it as a circuit, solid state
device.
Having
one of these in your
in the camera. It's an actual drive.
Yeah, it's like having one of these guys inside your camera.
Yeah.
It's
not a buffer. It's actually the real deal. But like I said, what I don't like is if it were to break or get screwed up, then you got to send your whole camera in to get fixed.
No, Jeff is absolutely right. That is a scary thought. That could be a deal breaker, you know.
Imagine if you could buy 2 or 3 1 terabyte drives and you fill it
Yeah.
up, take it out, put in another one, fill it up, take it out. Put
That
in
makes
another one. I mean,
that makes more
geez,
sense.
That would be like crazy good.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Well, they didn't hire me, so what can I say? I applied, but they didn't want me.
So is it something you guys want to see in upcoming Nikon cameras? I don't know that I do. I'm not sure I want to see it. I mean, not that I have a choice if they do it.
I think it depends on how much size it adds to the camera. If they can't do it without making the camera even bigger than it already is, then I wouldn't do it.
Man, a terabyte on a micro SD card now.
They do?
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Or close to it. I know you can get I definitely know you can get 256 gig, but I mean, look how small storage is now.
Yeah, that's true.
Where's Mozman? Mozman will know.
They got 1 terabytes on those iPhones.
Well, as Dave Stewart says, they got them on the CF Express cards. You can get 1 terabyte, but the problem is they got to get the costs down. The costs are still too high.
You can get 4 terabyte CF Express cards.
Yeah,
really?
Plus,
Angel Bird. Yeah.
How much is it?
I don't know. Same price as that new House of Blood.
Yeah. I guess if you're shooting video, 4 terabytes not much. You shoot that ProRes.
no.
Oh.
If you shoot 8K,
Oh,
you
it
need
eats it
a
up.
1 terabyte card. But if you just shoot 4K, you don't need the 1 terabyte card.
So Mozman's throwing you a bone here, Jeff. Internal storage, solid state storage has a limited lifetime. That's not good.
Oh, it does?
Well,
Really?
everything does, but that's why it's got to be removable. I wouldn't want it in there where I can't get at it.
Well, that's not too bad. 4 terabyte for $1,800.
$1,800.
Oh, man.
That's a lot of dough.
Yeah.
So how do you think they're going to mitigate these possible issues with internal memory? Maz, have you seen the reviews on the camera? I'm just curious if you saw it and if you caught any comments about the internal memory other than it's there. Mr. Ron Pollard, I guess, stepped away for a minute. I know he was having a sneezing fit there.
Oh, yeah. Well, Dave Stewart saying Raymond Parker has a solution for 1 terabyte that costs $250. I don't go for what he's doing. He's like probably the 4th YouTuber that talked about these SSD card housings or some kind of housing that you could buy, and then you put an SSD drive inside of it, and the housing is like that of your CFE Type B card, and you put a solid state drive in it, and you make it yourself, and it saves you a lot of money. But I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, something about that sounds unwieldy to me.
Well, I mean, I think it's just, it may be inexpensive, but I mean, forget having any kind of warranty on it. Let's put it that way. You're doing it at your own risk.
So here I was the other day talking about caveat emptor. You use third-party lenses or batteries or whatever, use at your own risk. And yet I went out, actually ordered and got it today. This jewel, that is an EL15 dummy battery. And it's not Nikon because you can't get Nikon's EL15 dummy battery right now. Imagine that. So this is third party. And you're talking about when you buy all the parts and pieces for this from Nikon, it's about $150. So you can power your camera when you're using it static, like I'm doing right now. So I have the Nikon version in my my Z6 right now. I got this for the Z6 II because I'm taking it with me this weekend when I go down to Raleigh, so I can actually stream while I'm on the road for the next couple of weeks to power my Z6 II. This cost $32, the whole kit and caboodle. So I took the plunge today. Buyer beware, right? I said, all right, here we go. I plugged it in, popped the battery in the Z6 II, works fine. No problems, no issues with the camera. I'm not suggesting anybody go do this, but I took the plunge and tried it because it's not just the fact that the Nikon costs so much. It's the fact that you just can't get this from Nikon right now. It's been out of stock for months. So everybody's using their Nikons for streaming or something now. So there you have it. I can tell you that it works. It's TDKY. I can put a link in the description if anybody would want to know. I don't know why you would, but I just had to make sure everybody knew. I went back on my words about using third-party batteries and got a third-party dummy load for my Nikon.
Hey, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody, may I ask this question to the chat and to everybody else?
Please.
I had a friend of mine from San Francisco said to me, Ron, where can I find an SB 400, 300, or 500? He said, man, they don't seem to have them anywhere. So I'm just putting that out there for those in the chat. I have an SB 400 and I love it.
Your friend wants a what, SB 500?
Or the 400,
You have to go. You have to buy
one now. My shop's got one now, secondhand.
Where?
Well, I don't know if it do you any good, but over here in Malaysia, yeah, the SB 500. How much was it? It's $200. But 180, 200 secondhand.
I wonder if KEH would have any.
I asked him to try that too. Go to KEH.
Yeah.
I only brought that up because Chuck triggered that when he said Nikon didn't have certain things in stock. You were looking.
What do you use, Ron, for speed light?
Okay. I'm a mix between the Nikons and the Pro Photos.
Oh.
So I have the Nikon SB 400 for just light little shooting running gun, keep it light. I have two SB 900s. And then I have the Pro Photo A10s and A1s, A1 and A1X, something like that.
So when you shot Roy mackerel, backlit, what'd you use?
SB 900.
900 on TTL, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it gave you just enough splash.
Beautiful, beautiful,
yeah.
Absolutely beautiful, man. And he looked toe up from the floor up because he was tired and he was, he was out there grinding. He played like 27 holes that day because he and Scotty Scheffler, I think they finished the third round 1-2, but then there were rain, so they had to come back on Sunday, finish up the round, the third round on Sunday, and then start later and play their fourth round.
How many batteries did you take with you per day?
48.
No, I mean on your Z9.
Oh, one.
You shoot the whole thing on with one, right?
Yeah, that battery. I have three Z9 batteries.
Okay.
But the 3300 one lasted all day easily. I had about 35% left when I was done.
Wow.
KEH has an SB 300, but it's an as-is condition. But they have an SB 600 in excellent condition with the case for $70.31.
Wow. Okay, I'll tell him.
That's cheap.
For an SB 600, phew,
yeah,
that's like a steal, man.
Yeah. Hopefully it's in great condition.
It's in rated excellent condition.
Okay.
For $70.
$70.31.
Well, that's cheap.
Yeah. John, why'd you ask me about the Z9 batteries?
No, I was just curious. What your safety margin is for all day affair. What makes you feel good that, hey, I got enough juice to last.
Yeah.
How many batteries and how long they last.
Now, I took 3 batteries with me, but I didn't need to change out. I had 1 battery. I had an extra battery. I had an extra 2 batteries, but the 1 battery, you know how it works. You leave it. You have somebody. Well, at this particular station, we had a PGA, like a photography depot, where they watched our gear for us, and I had somebody assigned to watch my gear, and so I just took an extra battery, but I didn't need it. And I took like 16 of the SB 900 batteries. No, 4, 8, 12. Yeah, 16.
Double A's.
Yeah, because I change them out. I didn't want to use the quantum turbo battery pack because that's just too much weight, man. Too much weight.
They still make those. They still make them.
The Q3 is amazing.
Oh, really?
Absolutely amazing. I shoot a lot of events with that. When I'm not walking 9 hours, Chuck.
Yeah.
It's still high voltage, isn't it? Is it high voltage?
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. And it's a twin turbo pack, so it can charge 2 flashes at the same time.
That thing saved my life many times.
Many days. Yeah.
Quantum.
I shot something for Nickelodeon one time, an event for Nickelodeon. Man, that thing was I got on my knees and thank God day in and day out after that, because I wouldn't have got those shots, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. That Quantum 3 was amazing, man. I love it.
Z-Wade's taking off. Have a good one, Z-Wade.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Mozman in there for you, Ron.
Okay. Oh, okay. So where did he see it?
Well, I think he's talking about the one that was $70-something that I was talking about on KEH for the SB600. I mean, that's a great deal. I mean, I own this SB700, and they got some of those too, and those are selling for EX Plus condition for $214, and even that's a pretty good price.
Have you tried
Later,
the SB5000?
I don't have that. I've shot with it, but I don't have it. I don't own it. It's excellent. It's outstanding. It's just big.
Yeah. I found a secondhand one, so I picked it up.
How much were they asking for it?
I got it for about $2.25.
Oh man, that's a steal on the SB5000.
Yeah, secondhand.
John, what kind of repair issues do you face over there with Nikon? You don't have gray market or anything like that.
Get it tonight, Ron.
No. I just take it to my dealer and let them deal with it. Okay. But I to be honest with you, Ron, I haven't had any Nikon repair issues in years.
I haven't either, John, unless it was my error, unless I dropped it.
One time I'm on my D4S, one of the card slots for the XQD, that broke. So they had to replace the whole component, because there's two XQD card slots, right? So number one went south, so they replaced that. So if you ever hear people saying XQD cards are infallible, they're wrong.
Yeah,
because
I am not.
The whole component, the insert, whatever that thing is unit is went south.
Now I tell you what, though, Angel Bird is having problems with the back end of their cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're breaking off.
The plastic is breaking, right?
Yeah.
See, I seen that on XQD, Sony XQD card. It broke on mine, the plastic. So it does happen.
Wonder where Mr. Roy is tonight. I'm gonna have to send him an email. I hope Mr. Roy isn't down and out or sick or something.
He's in Australia, correct?
Yes, sir.
So he's about 2 hours ahead of me. So it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I have to
busy.
take off, guys. I've got to. Mama just asked me to take care of some honeydews. As always, Chuck, thank you for the honor of being in. John,
No, it's our honor, buddy.
Jeff, start your own comedy channel, Jeff.
Ron, keep up the good
man.
work, Ron.
They can't afford me.
Thank you. Thank you, man. I'm trying my best, man.
Hey,
they call me back when they come back over to Atlanta and do some more PGA type stuff.
I love your pictures.
Thank you,
You're a
man.
true professional.
Absolutely.
You're a true pro.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. I respect all
the
of
Mohicans.
I respect. Hey. I'm that. Hold on. 1964. Is that baby boomer or is that Generation X?
That's
baby boomer, I think.
Yeah, 64 was the last year, maybe, of baby boomers.
Yeah.
What am I? 56.
Yeah, I was
you were World War II.
Yeah, baby boomer.
So I'm 59. So I don't know. I'm an in-betweener.
A tweener.
I'm a tweener.
And we're not even talking about Chuck, are we? We're not even talking about Chuck.
No, Greg. Roy, he's retired. He's a commercial photographer, was doing a lot of commercial work, but I think he's still doing a little bit, but no, not astro necessarily.
But thank you, gentlemen, so much. Chuck, always an honor and a pleasure to be here with you guys. I respect all of you.
We appreciate you being in here. And more than that, your audio.
It's working fine, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really nice to actually hear you for once. It was great.
Yeah, use Chrome.
68 was the first year of Gen X. Okay.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But you know, I everything you're saying, Chuck, and that you've led with, I get it. I really do, and I do agree that we got to do the best we can. My son is. People asking him, what is he shooting on, making these videos on? He said a Z6 II. Really? Nikon still makes cameras? He said, Dad, what is that? I said, was that from a Sony shooter? He said, yeah. I said, I thought so. I thought so.
Your son is a chip off the old block, huh?
Well, he's doing the video piece. But thank you. He's the 26-year-old. He's doing the video piece and he's growing with it.
Oh,
he's
great.
using DaVinci Resolve 18, guys.
Wow.
All right.
On that M1, that Mac M1.
Yeah.
And man, this cat is it's just amazing to watch his talent grow, you know.
That's good, man. That's good. It's nice having somebody, a built-in videographer in the family business.
Yeah, that's tough to try to do video and photos. It's tough. I can't wait to see what Verhagen does with his camera. This, you know, and this with this wedding in Las Vegas. I can't wait to see that. He said he's going to do some behind the scenes and video of that with the Z9.
Hey, Greg.
Tell Greg it needed to be hardwired.
Yeah, he ran the Ethernet from the modem to the computer.
Mm-hmm. Whereas before, Chuck, I was always on Wi-Fi with no problems.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have no idea, man. No idea.
I can't tell you.
I use a VPN.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah, my wife has a VPN for work.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you. I hear you. Blessings, guys. Paul, hit me up. Y'all be blessed. John, I can't wait to see your stuff, bro. Please try at least one live. One.
All right, depends on where I am. I'll try to do it.
I mean, with the Eagles. I could care less about fly fishing. The Eagles.
Okay.
The Eagles, fly fishing. I'm good on that, man. The Eagles, man. I just are those golden eagles? Those are golden eagles? What kind of eagles?
Yes. Yeah. Golden
I thought that
eagles.
was a USA bird. That's not a bird just on the North America.
Well, that's what they use. I mean, they're gigantic. It's like a 14-pound bird, you know.
You see those a lot in Asia, don't you? Golden eagles.
I think they're in the continental United States. The golden
Yeah.
eagle. I don't think so. I think it's like you said. It's out your John's way.
Are they larger
Yeah.
than the bald eagles?
I think
They're
they
big.
are.
Yeah, they're huge. They're
They're big, right?
gigantic.
Yeah.
And what they do is they capture them when they're little babies, and then they train them to hunt. And then when they get old enough, after 5 years, they put them back out to back to nature.
And they can survive after being
Yeah.
in captivity all that time?
Oh yeah.
Well, they're still using their hunting skills. It's just that they're
Yeah.
hunting for the food is being given to the people rather than them. You know.
That bird
But
doesn't try to find the owner? That bird doesn't try to fly back to the people who raised it?
No,
No.
they put it back out.
Okay.
And actually, I mean, they don't actually hunt with them for substance, but it's mostly for part of their culture and ritual.
Sport and stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They're
There you
probably
go.
animals.
The harpy eagle's the biggest. That's one weird looking eagle too, by the
Oh,
way.
but that sucker's huge, Chuck.
It hunts monkeys.
That thing, does it?
Yes.
It looks like it could carry us away.
Let it try, baby. It ain't moving me.
Real quick, guys, before I leave, when I first went to Kenya, and Chuck, you saw this, I could not believe the size of the storks that were on the power lines in Kenya when I arrived at Jomo Kenyatta Airport. Those storks were about 3 feet high, man.
Well, I don't know what they call them. They're an ugly bird. It's
But
not
it's a stork. It's a form of a stork.
man. Them
and-
things are ugly, but
and
they're huge. Yeah,
And
they
they're
are.
huge.
Yeah.
And so when we first saw them, and the kids and everybody who was with me was like, "Look at that! What in the world?" I said, "Welcome to Kenya, baby. Welcome to Africa."
Yeah, the storks are really interesting because, and especially because the vultures will sit there and eat the kill, and then the storks will be on the sideline waiting for the vultures to finish, and once the vultures finish, then the storks start eating the kill.
Man,
Very interesting.
you aren't kidding, Moz, man. Them things are things of nightmares, the harpy eagles. Because when you see it, if you've never seen one, look it up because the face on it is buried under the feathers, or how would you explain that, Moz, man? Just its headdress, its feathers look like the actual face of the eagle, and it's huge. I guess I'm saying that right. I don't know how to explain it any other way. Hey, on the knocked lens you were asking about, yeah, as Mozman said, I think it was just a proof of concept for the Z mount, but don't ask me how it proved the concept of that Z mount. I don't know if they'll do another one. I doubt they'll do another novelty lens like that.
I think they just did it to prove that they could do it. You know, I mean, I doubt they made 5 cents on that. They didn't make any money on that.
Mozman said, I just put the camera down and walk away. Harpy Eagle.
All right, guys. Thank you all so much, man. Again, blessing, guys. Look
All
forward
right,
to
be blessed, Mr. Pollard, and thanks for being in here tonight. We enjoyed it.
Thank you, guys. Nothing but love and respect, fellas.
Yeah.
Take care, team.
Have a good one.
All right. Did you find a picture of it, John?
Yeah, I did. Interesting.
It's a scary looking bird, isn't it?
Yeah. Looks like it's got horns on it or something.
Yeah. At night, it would be a scary sight. Be sitting in your window in a silhouette.
I'm the worst bird photographer in the world. I still can't do it. I just can't figure it out.
Yeah, that's one cool looking bird, really. Oh. Hey, gentlemen, I think I'm getting ready to wrap it up too.
Okay.
Let me throw my public service announcement out here. It's really not a PSA, but anyway, for those that have jumped or come through, maybe you're in here now for the first time and you enjoy just a photography community where you can get in and argue with people like we do in a good way, and share your opinions. Um, if you're looking for a place that you can do that on a regular basis, show up when you want, and when you don't want to, that's fine as well. We do this every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time and every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern time. Would love to have you in as a part of the community. We got a great community here. And we will talk all things photography. I think we're just in a place right now where new cameras are imminent, or we expect that they're imminent. And we're going to continue to harp on that and pick on Nikon, even though we are Nikon. So I guess we feel like we have the right to pick on them for some of their marketing and things like that. But if you like it, you care to join and become part of the community, I'd love to have you subscribe. If you're just not ready to subscribe, but you enjoyed the conversation tonight, by all means, please leave a like. It just motivates me to keep running these live streams. So that's my PSA for the channel. The first Saturday of every month, we're doing our photo review. Just a reminder to everybody again, that's going to wind up being October 1st, I believe, is the first Saturday of October. So we'll be doing another live review. Live review just means everybody send your photos in to AP Studios and to the email that I will drop here real quick.
Just to answer Mosman, yeah, my T-shirt is, I think it's a Nike, and it's just a plain octopus. I don't know what the octopus has anything to do with it.
So if you'd like to send a photo, you can start sending your photos anytime, guys. Just make sure you put in the subject line photo review October, so that I can start stockpiling them into a folder so I don't lose your photos before we get to the photo review. That's going to be the first Saturday in October, which I do believe is October 1st. And I want to plug all these wonderful people that are part of the show here. You saw Ron Pollard. He can be found at ronpollard.com. And we've got Jeffrey Neville up top. Mr. Neville has his own YouTube channel. I usually have it linked in the description. I don't know if I did this time, but I'll get them in there. Selective Imagery. Tell them about your channel, Jeff.
Well, it's predominantly bird photography, a little bit of street photography and macro, and some flowers. I don't know the flowers' names, unlike Jeff and Leslie. They know all the flowers' names. But, I put together, I think, some entertaining videos, and hopefully once in a while I do a product review as well. So hopefully you get to check it out. I think you'll enjoy it.
And typically we have Vahagan in here, so Vahography on YouTube, but he's shooting a wedding in Las Vegas tonight. So, while we're all sitting here having a good time, he's out working for his money. John Ishii, down here at the bottom of the screen. John Ishii's in Malaysia. He is a retired photojournalist. John, where can they find you, since somebody already asked about social media, so we can follow your trip through Mongolia?
Oh, just Facebook. I'm kind of trying this Vero thing. See how that works.
All right.
YouTube, I don't do any. I'm not into YouTube.
So content. Right now, everybody can find you on Facebook at John Ishii on Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
It's JOHNISHII.
Yeah.
Correct. Double I at the end. John Ishii.
Correct.
On Facebook. And he's always posting something. He's an accomplished photographer, obviously, as a retired photojournalist, but his wife is also an accomplished photographer.
Oh, she's way better than me. You can find her at Diana Ishii on Instagram.
Diana Ishii on Instagram for anybody who wants to look her up. And I suggest you do. She's got some wonderful photographs.
Hers is way better than my stuff.
And they use all kinds of different equipment. It's not just Nikon. It's Hasselblad, as you heard John talking about earlier, and
she's
Leica.
Leica. Yeah. She likes her Leica.
she's her main gear is Leica and Hasselblad.
There you go. And we already talked about Ron Pollard, professional photographer, shoots everything. Just shot the PGA FedEx Championship in Atlanta. You can find some of those photos over on his Facebook page, Ron Pollard on Facebook. All right, guys.
Okay.
I appreciate you guys being in here. And John, we look forward to you got a bit before you take off for Mongolia, don't you?
Yeah, I'm leaving on the 20th. So
Okay, 20th this month.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, if we
I'll
don't
be in
talk
touch.
to you again, I hope we do. But if we don't talk to you again before then, I hope you guys have a safe and fun trip. Looking forward when you get back, you'll have to share some of the photos. Come on and
Oh,
share
will
some
do.
of them.
Sure.
All right.
Sure. Okay.
Sounds great.
Yeah, have a great time.
Hey, thanks,
All right.
Jeff.
All right, folks. That'll be it for tonight. Again, we'll see you. Let's see. Wednesday will be my last live stream from home, and then I'm on the road.
Okay.
I'll be on the road for next Saturday night. Catch you from a hotel room. All right, folks. That's it. Everybody have a great night. God bless you, and we'll see you again Wednesday, I hope.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.